Did we say Unai Emery was turning it around?
Well, he did. He turned it around again.
Yeah. That was a great performance in Paris. It is good. I mean, a sensational performance at home, especially that midfield trio.
Yeah.
Verratti, Rabiot and Matuidi. The driving force. But for everything good they did in Paris, they completely went the opposite way. And there's always two sides to a story. Yes, Barcelona knew they were chasing the game, of course. They knew what they had to do. But for a team of that quality and that experience at this stage of the elite competition to buckle like that, it is quite scary.
When you think of the success that PSG had at home, it came from aggression. It came from initiative. It came from a willingness to take a chance and say, you know what, we're going to pressure Barcelona higher up the field. We're not going to allow them to build any sort of confidence with their possession. And they disrupted, they created turnovers, and they were the team that had the ball. At the Camp Nou, from the first minute, PSG is dropping back. At that point, you're already saying, we're just going to hang on. Okay, 4-0 is a big lead, I understand. But you have to have the initiative to say, what made us successful in the past, and why can we not be good enough to go and get after Barcelona once again and see if they can defend? There was a fear from PSG that became bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time that Barcelona scored, or every time that Barcelona put together an attack, that fear not only continued to get bigger, but then you start thinking to yourself, well, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, now it's 2-0. Now it's 3-0. Now how do we get out of here? You score the goal and you think, well, that's it.
Yeah.
We've done enough. Enough to get us out of here. And yet, PSG, a team with guys like Cavani and Thiago Silva and this guy and that guy and Verratti and Matuidi, you know what happened? The same thing that happens to average teams and poor teams, that they buckle under the pressure, that they're not able to withstand it, they're not able to break through that ceiling, and Barcelona was simply too much.
Defensively, absolutely. The pressure got to them. And when you put pressure on particularly defenders, then they can make mistakes. In France, in Paris, that back four and goalkeeper never made a mistake all night. They were fantastic. Well, the first three goals are horrendous. They're all individual mistakes that could have been righted, and then of course you're handing the initiative to Barcelona. I think the referee's wrong on the Suarez penalty for the one I believe is the fifth, because Barcelona weren't at their scintillating best. If you just saw this 6 goals, you would think Barcelona must have been incredible. Well, they weren't. They just put pressure on PSG, and PSG caved in.
Was Unai Emery feeling sorry for Arsene Wenger?
Well, he certainly stole the headlines.
Is that what it was? He tried to take the pressure off and say, I'll grab some headlines for you.
How's he feeling?
Well,
I think he's, well, I think it's safe to say, I think it's safe to say when he's back under the cosh. Back under the cosh. I mean, that, I know it's extreme, but it's one game, but it's so big. And I think it's unconvincing. And I think, how do you sit in front of your board in a few days or at the weekend and they say, well, how did this happen? How did we, in spending all this money and bringing you in, and we're trying to push forward in this competition, and we've broke the bank, how did we go from such a strong position to this disastrous result? And I think he's going to have a difficulty explaining that away. He's under pressure domestically in the league. They've now got this to deal with. There's going to be a lot of talk about his future now as well.
You take a look at the team sheet, Stevie, and it is full of experience. This isn't a team who have just been cobbled together. This is a team full of internationals. You take a look at the player ratings, though. Thiago Silva, 2. You know, Matuidi, Verratti. These are like top 20 players. If you were to compile a list, how does it go so wrong for such experienced players who surely should be able to handle the pressure that you've talked about?
To be honest, you're talking about experience, but the 2 guys I mentioned in the first 3 goals, or the 3, are probably the least experienced that they have. And it just shows you that you need everybody. You know, it's a team game. You need everybody to chip in. But when you've got 2 in particular, your 2 fullbacks, they can't handle it, who make mistakes, and you give a team and players that Barcelona have an inch, they take a mile. That's exactly what they've done tonight.
To your point, Dan, fear doesn't care about names. Fear, once it takes over a team, you can feel it. You can sense it. You know that guy's having a tough time, and you're having a tough time. Who's our outlet? Who's our guy that we're gonna give the ball to? And that guy is gonna put the game away from us. Everybody starts looking at each other. Nobody has the answers. And when fear creeps into a team, you simply have no answers, regardless of who these players are. You would think that it would be better that Thiago Silva's on the field, that Cavani's on the field. Well, Cavani had a chance to put the game away multiple times. Well, that's why you're there, to get paid that money, to make sure that you're the guy who puts the game away. He didn't. And it just feels as PSG simply felt like things are going to go wrong. Then you step on the field and things start going wrong, and you think, well, hold on a second. Are we going to be able to hang through this? You still get to the 87th minute. 87th minute. Barcelona still needed to score 3 goals, and you allow that to happen? Come on. It's unacceptable. Devastating to PSG fans, but unacceptable for the players and the coach.
You know, that 7 minutes is absolutely going to cost Emery his job.
Oh, yeah.
And what seems really weird is that if PSG had won the first leg 2-1 and maybe lost the second leg 1-0 and gone out on away goals, at the end of the season, the owners would probably said, you know what, this guy needs another year. He's only had his first year. Let's stay with him. Now, the situation he's in now is absolutely, the finger from the owners is going to be pointed straight at the coach, and they're going to ask questions. And I'll tell you right now, he's not going to have an answer.
Shall we talk about the other teams left in the Champions League? How are they feeling?
Yes.
No, but I mean, finally thought, well, Barcelona not having a great season, or PSG are going to knock them out. Not that PSG are not a side capable.
But you prefer to face PSG than Barcelona.
Exactly. You prefer to face, you know, Rabiot and Verratti as good as they are, than Lionel Messi and Suarez, and you know, you wait up alongside Cavani, who's had a good season domestically in France. And finally they thought, right, there's one of these huge clubs out, and they come back and do that. I think it's really going to put the fear. It's not going to put the fear in UEFA, because they're going to be laughing all the way to the bank now that they've got Barcelona still in it and all the other big boys. But it really has a big jolt for the rest of the teams.
Gab, it's incredible. I just want to bring Gab Marcotti into the conversation, who's with us. Gab, you take a look at PSG. Yes, they invested all this money, and yes, they've been so successful domestically in Ligue 1, but that wasn't what it was all about. It was all about the Champions League. And just 2 weeks ago, we thought, hey, I'll tell you what, PSG have arrived here, haven't they? We were talking to them in the same conversation as Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, if you put in those sort of performances as possible champions, and yet it capitulates so badly tonight. This is a devastating blow, obviously, to PSG and where they want to be in Europe.
It is, and I mean, I'm a little torn because, you know, the Italian inbeat says you just squandered a 4-0 first leg lead. There can be no excuses. At the same time, though, I mean, Stevie cited some of the incidents that went against them. Luis Suarez, that the Mascherano handball not given early on could have been a penalty. You know, I disagree with you when you said about all this experience they have on the side. I think it's the opposite. I mean, you look at Trapp, you look at Marquinhos, you look at Rabiot, you look at Verratti, you look at Lucas. You know, these aren't guys who've gone on and been there and done that. And I think the nerves, the occasion got to them as well. Add in the individual mistakes, and then all of a sudden, it's very, very much uphill. Does that explain the twilight zone, 3 goals in 7 minutes at the end? No, I don't think anything can. But, I mean, if I'm Emery, those are the points I make to try to hang on to my job.
And what does this say as well about Barcelona? As much as we were lauding PSG just a couple of weeks ago, we said, Barcelona are done. You know, you take a look, they've got an aging team, Busquets and Iniesta, blah, blah, blah. Yet here they are now, through to the quarterfinals, back very much in the conversations of winning the cup.
Business end of the season.
Exactly.
But when nobody saw it coming after that performance in Paris.
No.
They were so far off the pace. They were outplayed. They were outmuscled. PSG were sharper at every ball. They've had their problems domestically this season in La Liga. But you can't argue when it all knits together for them, and you add in the quality that they have, and when you get Iniesta involved, and when you get that front three operating, and then you get a PSG side that are like nervous because they're losing a couple of goals and they start panicking, then Barcelona can do that to teams. But I just don't expect it to happen at this stage of Europe's elite competition.
Those flaws that you talked about in Barcelona remain in Barcelona. They still have issues. It's a team that is flawed and have their problems in the midfield. But undenied, the environment, the stadium, the moment, their jersey, Barcelona, Lionel Messi, the front three, all of those things carry the weight, while PSG were just hoping that they could get through the 90 minutes rather than play their way through the 90 minutes.
If I'm any of the opposition still left in this tournament, I'm not showing them this game. I'm showing them the first leg.
I think they might have seen it though.
Well, the key for the other teams is to remember that Barcelona got beat 4. That's the key thing. And actually, it's key for Enrique as well. Because if he just pats himself on the back and forgets about the first leg, then it's liable to happen again. So it'll be interesting to see what he does about it.